What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here at Dean 7904. If you want to get all technical on me, it's 5:30 on the dot on the East Coast, 2:30 West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. Of course, that means it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Join me today, the GPP savant, the controller, the dominator over there at Yahoo DFS. That's a specialist. Of course, we'll be talking FanDuel and DraftKings as well too. Talking tonight's massive NBA DFS slate. It's one Chris Kirkwood. We call him Kirk D's around these parts. What's up, Kirk D's?
Just call me the Yahoo RG Optimal Slayer.
What?
Right? I take down the conglomerate on a nightly basis over there.
Well, there you go. All right. How did we were talking pre-show. And
Probably not last night though, because
Yeah,
I had Frank Mason.
Hey, you're only as good as your last at bat.
That's true. And I still would have been fine if I went Steph over Dame, which I should have done, but I had a feeling that Dame was going to bring it, and I felt like a genius the first quarter, and then not so much afterwards.
Turns out they played 4 quarters, and Steph had 10 triples, I believe. He's going to break the 3-point record. If it's going to happen some point this year. Bold proclamation. What is it? 15 by Clay? 15, 16, 14?
I don't know.
Brian Shaw had it like 20 years ago for the Miami Heat.
Didn't Dana Barros have it at one point in time? I only know that name because I went to a basketball camp where Dana Barros was teaching us shooting.
Dana Barros of the Charlotte.
He played on the Seattle Sonics at one point. I think he played on at Boston. I think he was on the Celtics at one point in time. I don't know.
That sounds believable too. Dana Barros is not playing basketball tonight. You want to know who else is not playing basketball this evening as far as the body parts, as far as who's in and who's out?
Bradley Beal, but I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his entire body just needs a rest, I suppose. He's not playing this evening. Of course, he's going to be super popular. Some notes just dropped as well on the old Twitter machine. Marvin Bagley is questionable. Downgrade, a midday downgrade out of nowhere. Kind of, sort of, somewhat interesting. Wendell Carter Jr. officially out. He was upgraded to doubtful, which sounds like an oxymoron, but he was out for a while, and I don't expect him to be back. Well, he's not going to be back tonight. That's all we really care about. Let's see. Mike Connolly is not playing basketball this evening. All the Martin brothers are out for Charlotte tonight. Both of them. Anthony Davis is questionable. That is a late game. That's an ESPN game for what it's worth. Detroit, Mason Plumlee is out. We saw what happened last night with Stewart. I don't see any reason why Stewart wouldn't be a lock and load once again tonight. We'll talk about that. Sekou Doumbouya is out as well. And Blake Griffin, nothing official on Blake Griffin, but he's old and he hasn't played a back-to-back or like both the front and the back end of a back-to-back all season. I expect him to sit. Nothing official out there, but in my brain, I'm assuming he's not going to go when things are all, said and done there for Detroit. Memphis, Desmond Bane is out for personal reasons. Brandon Clark is still out, and DeAnthony Melton is out, so Memphis a little bit thin. Boston, your Celtics, they got to rest Kemba Walker. Robert Williams, the Time Lord, is still out with his hip. D'Angelo Russell's out for a couple games. We talked about Brad Beal. Devontae Graham, he's still questionable, right, for Charlotte? Has that been upgraded, or is that still what it is? I've not seen an update.
What it is, it's leading me to believe that he's going to be out, but I may be wrong on that. But just because because when they called up Jalen McDaniels, but now Jalen McDaniels is out, it says.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Maybe that's a good sign for Graham. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. McDaniels is on Minnesota, though.
Yeah, it's his brother.
Devontae Graham and Jaden McDaniels are brothers?
No, there's another McDaniels.
No, you're talking about the Martin brothers. Both Martin brothers.
No, there's McDaniels brothers. There's one from Minnesota, one on Charlotte, who's in the G League.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's throwing me off. I wasn't aware of this person. He may be called up, is what you're saying, for Charlotte?
He was called up, but now he's out.
Okay. Yeah. Charlotte has, as of right now, well, if Graham is in, I think they'll have 10 bodies, and that's including a person named Nick Richards, who I could not spot if like 7 people were lined up. All right. So, Paul George has got a toast. He can't play. OKC SGA is still out. Roby is questionable for what it's worth as far as his foot. And then the late game, one of the later games out of back-to-back for Orlando, not a lot of information out there. We saw how thin they were last night with the injury to Mason. They had like no guards, which was amazing. Anthony Fournier, MCW is not on the injury report, so I assume he is available. I can't imagine I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Maybe he starts. I don't know. It probably is all dependent upon if Cole Anthony can go, if Fournier can go. Amito is questionable with his knee, and Frank Mason is not available. So in theory, Orlando can be really good. There could be some good value there, but again, we got to put a waiting game, and hopefully you have some pivots if things don't go your way. How are you dealing with that? How are you adjusting? You can talk about Orlando specifically, or just in general, like the 10 o'clock game. LeBron obviously much higher upside if Anthony Davis doesn't play. If Davis does play, all of a sudden the Lakers just basically more or less crossed them out. That's kind of my perspective. There's a lot of good studs this evening, and I don't think I need to pay for LeBron when I can get Giannis or Jokic or Westbrook, which we'll talk about. How are you handling there's a bunch of questionable stuff out there, and a lot of it's late?
Well, I feel terrible about last night because I felt like I handled it perfectly, and then I got crushed. So tonight, I don't think the late news is super impactful. I mean, it is with Anthony Davis. I'm under the impression that Anthony Davis is going to play, but that's just a guess on my part. The Orlando stuff, I don't know. I don't really care that much. The other guys just aren't. I mean, MCW is probably going to be back. He's probably not going to see big minutes. You're talking about guys like Dwayne Bacon playing point. I guess Ross
was playing. Ross started the second half, and he was basically their point.
Yeah,
he was awesome.
I like Ross.
It's not good from a basketball perspective, but from a fantasy perspective. But go ahead.
I like Ross regardless tonight. So I guess I mean, when it comes down to a situation, flexibility is king. And so obviously, if you can sacrifice a couple of things here, if they're not much in the projection standpoint, then you do it. But I'm not really focusing too much on it tonight like I was last night.
We do have a starting lineup. We were talking about this pre-show, and I think it's interesting on DK potentially, where Garrison Matthews is still minimum 3K on DK, and he's going to draw the start. We're going to bring SBK on in our projections team in about 7 minutes or so. I'm curious what they're doing with that, because we were not expecting Matthews to start. I think we had Abdia to draw the start, and there is enough bodies. Obviously, Beal is out, but they still have Howell Neto and Ish Smith, and Troy Brown, I think, got a couple minutes last time. I don't really know why he's not getting any run at all, essentially. There are other people available, and the whole center game is kind of tricky to figure out as far as Len, as far as Robin Lopez. Mo Wagner's a person. Bertans, in theory, one of these days, he's going to start making his threes. But I guess we can start there, right? With Beal out, Westbrook is priced down. He's not been as good as he used to be. Another guy, not necessarily an efficient player. He's been inefficient. This is the fastest paced team in all of basketball in Washington, playing the slowest paced team in all of basketball in New York. So it's a massive downgrade for the Washington side, but it's matchup versus like increase in usage, a price that's down. I feel really good about Westbrook, but if you're going to make the argument against him, it's that they're playing New York. He's super slow. He's going to be popular if you want to make that argument in tournaments. And New York's been good as far as in the paint, allowing paint points. And Westbrook is not a good outside shooter. He'll shoot, he'll try, but he's not efficient at it. What are you doing with Westbrook is what I'm getting at.
I think you still play him. I mean, he's going to be pushing the pace. He's going to be dictating this pace. Yes, it's a pace down spot for sure, but he's going to be out there running and gunning. And he's going to be chucking. And I think even Means he put it in his core plays article today that, he may miss the first 10 in a row, but he's sure as hell going to get up the 11th shot right after it. And so, I mean, that's the case with Westbrook. I mean, he's got 37% usage with Beal off the floor this season. He's struggled for sure this season, but, did flash his upside with like a 70-point performance a little while ago. We know it's in him. So I think you just bite the bullet and you play some chalk, but there's a ton of good studs tonight. So like, there's a ton of good situations in like games where, so the Clippers, for instance, without, Kawhi's in a great spot against the Bulls without Paul George. Tatum and Jaylen Brown are in great spots in a great matchup against the Pistons without Kemba. So there's plenty of those situations. There's also Luka, right? Like, so there's no short of the studs on this slate tonight. So I guess in tournaments you can get a little crazy, but I like Westbrook a lot. I'm not going to lie. I also like Rui Hachimura. He's probably my second favorite, and I think Bertans is going to be stroking it from the outside. If the Knicks do pack the paint, have him playing well defense, but I think Bertans is going to get free, and it's going to free up a lot of looks for him on the outside.
Back-to-backs, front end, Utah, Atlanta, New York. Back end, Boston, Detroit, Portland, and Orlando. Hey, Boston's your team. Talk to me about Jaylen Brown, because he was out for several games with an injury. And I think they said, what was the word they used? Tendonitis. And he's just kind of dealing with it. Last night, he wasn't great. It's a back-to-back. The price is really, really appealing. I think the DK price, especially, I want to say is like 7.4. Should I be at all concerned? Is kind of what I'm asking. Like if he was like standard, perfectly fine, I feel great about it. 7.8 on DK, which is still a fine price. Are you okay with Jaylen Brown? You think is he passing your eye test?
I'm completely fine with it. So like this is like a situation where it gets a little bit overblown within, people read, okay, there were comments about Danny Ainge about he's concerned with his tendonitis and Jalen's knee. And so that's something that we're going to have to deal with for the season. And it's true, right? And he was banged up a couple of games ago and had a poor performance against Sacramento. However, he looked awesome against the Jazz. They didn't close out the fourth quarter well, but he certainly played well. He was the aggressive one. He looked completely fine to me. And I think he looked really good last night. Now he struggled with his shot, but he took 14 shots. He was 3 for 14. He also had his 10 assists, and he was like a main facilitator last night. I guess the worry would be if this game is a blowout, right? If the Celtics take care of business, or vice versa, which in this NBA, sometimes we plan for the Celtics blowout and the Pistons end up being the one blowing the team out this season because it's crazy. But that's the concerns. Like if it's a blowout, then that he's the first one that they're going to cut down minutes. I mean, these guys are tired, right? Like Tatum and Brown have had the whole weight of the Celtics teams on their backs, so they've done a ton. They when he got hurt that game, he looked tired before that, and to me as well. So I mean, these guys are worn down a bit, but I'm not worried. So my long story short is I like Brown and Tatum tonight.
All 10 of those assists, I think, were Semi Ojeleye, by the way, which is absolutely the Semi Ojeleye. He's never going to have a better game.
I'm sure Pritchard
life, right?
got a cup. Were they all to Semi?
I don't know. I'm making that up, but like I feel like Ojeleye made like every single shot.
Either him or
of
Pritchard.
Brown. And Ojeleye just kept on hitting threes in the corner. Hey, I think Pritchard's kind of good. I think he's like a decent player.
He's good. He's that good Celtics guard who's going to struggle on D. Although he's scrappy, but he's just undersized.
Of course he's scrappy.
Yeah, like he's got that dog in him. He's got that fight in him, but he's
the gym rat.
He's just undersized, but he's going to chuck. And he's good at attacking the hoop. So he's probably not going to start tonight, I don't think, but he's going to, I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it, but I would think that they're going to, keep him in that same role as the backup point guard, and then just, overlap some of his minutes. So he's going to play. He'll probably get starter minutes or close to starter minutes, but I mean, maybe they do start him, but I don't think they're going to.
Well, he's well ahead of Teague right now. It seems like Teague was a DNP last night. Maybe he gets some run, Teague, just because, again, Kemba's out and there's 30 minutes to go around. Maybe they don't start Pritchard and they start, didn't they start Carson Edwards a couple days ago? Like maybe that, not that you're playing Carson Edwards, but I'm curious what they're going to do with that as well. And decent enough fantasy points per minute. And he's a guy that's well in play on DK. Either way, maybe it even works out if Boston does blow Detroit. They're only 8-point favorite. Both these teams obviously in a back-to-back, kind of ugly 2-11 as far as the total. I did want to ask, that's the game, right? But Pritchard is the value play on the other side. Stewart, do we really have to get into it? We have to play Stewart, right? Just got to play him, and that's that. Move on.
Yeah, I played him last night, and I watched every minute of him. And I mean, he was a dog out there. I mean, he's good. He's active. He's aggressive. He's active. He played well. The thing that impressed me most about him is that he played really good D without fouling, like on like against Sabonis and Turner last night. So that's always good to see, because a guy with him, like that's one of the things with foul trouble that you worry about on a young guy thrust into these situations. But he certainly looked the part last night. So yeah, you got it. They don't have Demboya tonight either. So and he was he was playing, they have no bigs really.
And they might be without Blake. I still think Blake's not going to play.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They should be without Blake, but we'll see.
By the way, this just dropped. This is a big deal. PJ Washington is out for health protocol reasons, and Charlotte was thin as is. And he's like their backup 5 as well too. And like now Biyombo's probably going to grab a few extra minutes. Not that I want to play Biyombo necessarily, which
Bridges.
He can, well, I mean, doesn't Zeller play like 33 or something like that now? Well, we'll talk to SBK in a minute and see. And obviously he's going to do it on the fly or tell us, hey, check back in 10 minutes. But maybe Biyombo plays 18 to 20. Yeah, Zeller and Biyombo probably play a combined 48 minutes. I assume that's kind of how that works. And Charlotte is just thin as is. I'm hearing some rumblings in the background. I'm not sure. Do we have SBK? And Keach, I'm not sure if you saw, you probably did. This just dropped for the people. No PJ Washington for Charlotte, a team that's already thin. We don't know about Graham. Why did we get Washington news and not Graham news? I don't know. But yeah, does that all of a sudden make Cody Zeller a really, really strong player for you on the fly? If you can do it, take me through the thought process.
I mean, I think we would still have Zeller kind of in that 26, 28 range. I don't think that's going to impact him that much. I mean, I haven't actually kind of looked through and seen what's going to happen with Washington off, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had Zeller over 30 minutes. I think obviously Miles Bridges will get a sizable bump. He'll probably be in like that 30-minute range. Maybe Gordon Hayward gets an extra minute, and then it's just kind of a matter of distributing the rest of kind of bench players. But yeah, we have. I mean, that popped kind of right before I came on, so I haven't really gotten a chance to think about what's going to happen as a result of that. But yeah, I would expect Bridges will probably be the biggest winner. Maybe Zeller picks up an extra couple minutes. And against Towns, they probably will end up rolling with like 48 actual minutes at the center spot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another factor, which is something they don't always have to do.
Yeah, and there is this Nick Richards person I know nothing about. He's a center. And maybe I don't know if he gets the rotation or not. Maybe I was thinking like 30 and 18, like Biyombo 18, Zeller 30, but who really knows? This is what I want to ask you about. Washington, another guy still minimum on DK, specifically Garrison Matthews. Surprise start? I would say it's a bit of a surprise. We knew he was going to get some run. Obviously, no Beal. How interested are we in a Garrison Matthews 3K tag on DK with him strong to start, but it could be fragile too because we've seen those Washington rotations get goofy in the middle of games.
It's interesting. I think I would prefer to not go this route. We're actually kind of making an effort to kind of keep his projection somewhat in check and like keep him from kind of popping off the page, just kind of given the volatility there. I mean, you can see like obviously Matthews is going to be the starter, but I mean guys like Raul Neto could end up kind of playing more of a role than we think. Ish Smith, even who was like basically a non-factor in the last game. Troy Brown, somebody who could potentially get involved, Jerome Robinson. So there's just kind of so many, other kind of options on the wing there that, I mean, if I felt like Matthews was going to be a popular play, I would absolutely feel pretty good playing the fade there.
If Bagley doesn't play, is there anything that sort of pops for us on the Sacramento side? Will we all of a sudden, I'm just trying to think because isn't it like Rashawn Holmes and Whiteside? They don't really play together, right? I don't think they do.
No.
Okay.
No.
So like who would benefit with Bagley being out? Like, I mean, you're not going to play. Is it Bielitsa, Glenn Robinson? Nobody we care about? Is that's kind of the answer? Nobody really gets a massive bump. What do you have?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think it's probably Glenn Robinson will potentially pick up some more runs. Bielitsa, they've like really have made an effort to not have him on the floor, but he is another, I guess, potential candidate to see a little bit extra run. But I would imagine they probably see more Glenn Robinson. But yeah, like you said, I don't think it's going to be anybody that matters from a DFS perspective.
What else are we monitoring? What are you guys debating throughout the day? Is there anything you're taking a stand on? Well, I guess Orlando, but like, I mean, how can you even answer Orlando right now? It's 19 different ifs and 19 different thens. And what else are you guys debating throughout the day? Or if you have a strong stance as far as Orlando, by all means, give us your best guess.
I wish I did. I mean, they're like a humongous question mark. Does not help that they're the last game of the night. I mean, I guess in a way, maybe it does if you are able to kind of work around like being able to make your decisions late. But yeah, Fournier questionable, Cole Anthony questionable, no Frank Mason. Michael Carter-Williams is probable, so we will likely see him. But yeah, it's kind of a mess right now until we get kind of some word on Fournier or Anthony. They're both out. Obviously, Vucevic is amazing play once again. We just expect to see Terrence Ross probably over 30 minutes. Dwayne Bacon, James Ennis would play more. But yeah, it's I don't have a strong opinion on that one yet. And then the Lakers, obviously Anthony Davis questionable. Kyle Kuzma, Markieff Morris be two guys that would become far more appealing. Montrezl Harrell as well. Obviously LeBron, Schroeder would get bumps. Other than that, not really too much. I mean, you already noted that we're still waiting on Devontae Graham. Haven't gotten that news yet. Isaiah Roby still questionable, our friend from the other night. So yeah, that's kind of about it right now.
You got anything for SBK there, Curtis?
No, you guys. I just want to know are you guys tapped into Siege at all for minutes predictions? I mean, he got Roby. He nailed Roby.
Yeah, it's not something in our algorithm at this point, but we're always looking for ways to improve.
Just a suggestion. That's all.
Yeah. Hey man, any angle we can take. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully tonight's not too squirrely, too goofy for you. All right. Well, take care. Thank you so much. Yeah. If you guys want access to RG Premium, we're talking about, some of the, using the projections team, Tuttle's on there. I know Jamino's on there and Alan's on there and Andy's in that conversation as well too. And someone's out lurking that conversation. It's on the Slack channel. Rarely do I talk, but I'm kind of a lurker, Curtis. But yeah, and if you guys obviously want to get yourself some RG Premium, $10 off your first month. The links will be dropped in the chat for you guys. Now you get it a la carte, just one sport, just basketball, or you can get all the sports with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR starts this weekend, I'm told. That's a thing. They're going to be racing some cars in, I think, Daytona. They start their Super Bowl week 1. Does that sound right? Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? I think that's true. Yeah. All right. There you go.
It's on Valentine's Day?
When is Valentine's? The 14th? 15th?
Sunday, right?
Yeah, happy Valentine's. Let's watch some cars. All right. Hey, I'll chat. We haven't talked to chat yet. My bad. My apologies. What up, chat? Feel free to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm not sure if they started to ask questions, but that's what we do. Devin, our producer, jumps in the show last 15 minutes of the show or so. He compiles them throughout the show. The questions you guys are asking. This is your first time. You're not aware of that. If a long time, you all know the deal. Ask some questions in chat. We'll answer them later on. Hey, this helps. Tell us what site are you playing on? Is it for tournaments? Is it for cash? Very, very helpful. Makes the question more valuable. There you go. And the answer more valuable as well, too, hopefully. Curtis, we have some winners as far as one more thing to drop in the chat for the people. PrizePicks, get yourself 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Use the promo code Grinders. And I believe you have a winner for the people to help them get started.
I hope so. I'm taking the over on Zion Williamson tonight. One spot I've been attacking is power forwards against the Mavs, and he just fits the molds perfectly. I had a really good conviction play the other night with John Collins and going right back to the well with Zion Williamson. He's got like a girth, power, and speed advantage, so he'll get switched onto Porzingis for a lot where he should be able to take him down low for a ton, and Kleber won't be able to stay with him either. And they're going to use Willie Cauley-Stein apparently again a lot in this game. And I don't think that, I think he's just in a positive matchup any way you look at it for him tonight. So I'm taking the over on points scored. He's been heating up. He's, had some really solid games recently. So that's my play.
No Mike Conley. We know Utah runs really, really tight rotations, so especially on FanDuel, I think Ingles is too cheap over there. Clarkson's too cheap over there. On DK, they're kind of sort of priced they should be. So again, depends on where you're shopping, but I love both Clarkson, especially Clarkson on FanDuel. Ingles is pretty cheap as well too. Pritchard, just the way the cap works, better play on DK than he is on FanDuel. You could certainly play him on FanDuel as well, but I think there's an opportunity cost, and point guard is pretty strong. We talk about Westbrook. Westbrook is too cheap both places. He's especially too cheap, I think, on FanDuel at 8.7K. Let's talk about the studs. Or if you're doing any sort of stacking, what's Giannis versus Jokic versus Luka? Like, is anybody sort of taking the lead for you amongst those guys?
Luka for sure. I think this is that's one of the game environments that I have circled that I really want pieces of. And so I expect Luka to have a hell of a game. The Pelicans have not guarded the 3-point line. They've been atrocious this season. Luka is going to be chucking. Hopefully they go down. So I see a big game for him. Giannis, I'm kind of lukewarm on. I like the game environment. Like, I think it's going to be, the fact that it's two, powerhouses going at it. I think it's they're all going to be up for the game. The thing with Giannis is that you want the minutes in the games that are competitive, and I expect this game to be competitive. However, I don't expect him to really have his way with Gobert and the Jazz down low and in transition like he likes to. So I really think that this is a big Chris Middleton game, especially with no Holiday. He's going to be facilitating the offense, but also going to be, shooting from the outside, because that's what you have to do against this Jazz team. So that's where I'd be putting my money on, is Middleton over Giannis tonight.
Yeah, and Mitchell is also worth a mention too. We talked about the price of Ingles, the price of Clarkson. I like Mitchell a good bit as well too. When you talk about competitive game, 233.5, and Utah is actually a 2.5 point favorite here. Utah, I don't know if they have fans right now. I couldn't tell you if they might have a smattering of, but historically a really tough place to play. And it's interesting to see Milwaukee as a dog. I just think it's worth mentioning that the Memphis Grizzlies have 9 bodies, and it's Tyson Jones, Gorgie Dang, Tillman, Concert. Now I don't like to pick on the Lakers. It's not a matchup that's ideal, but with Bane is out as well too. I think that there's some tournament upside. Grayson Allen is kind of sort of cheap enough where I think you could do worse. If you're trying to squeeze in like 2.5 or 3 studs on DK, he might be a guy that could be helpful. Brooks has a pretty appealing, still kind of appealing price there on FanDuel. Again, I don't like to attack the Lakers, but if these guys, we saw it the other day with OKC. I mean, different situation. They had 8 bodies, I guess 7.5, because Miller doesn't play more than 15 minutes essentially. But do you have any thoughts as far as the Memphis stuff, or is it's not necessary for you?
I would not. I've seen a few places, tout Conquer tonight.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's not somewhere I'd be going. Grayson Allen would be my pick. I know 3K is 3K, so like any 3K guy for sure. I would take a look at, but Grayson's been getting the minutes and has been somewhat aggressive, but saw 30 minutes and now is in a prime spot again tonight. With all these guys out, so I like him. I think Ja is going to get going. And if people are interested in Conquer, I mean, I would probably play like someone like Tyus Jones over him if I had to, but certainly not someone that I'm going to be playing. But Kyle Anderson is the guy who's just been really, really good.
He's been good.
Yeah. And aggressive, facilitating the offense. As long as, Ja hasn't just taken everything for himself and been the same, the Ja that we were used to before he got injured. Kyle is just the guy who's stepped up. So those are the guys that I'm most interested in, but none of these guys are priorities.
No, I don't mean to suggest it. I mean, Allen's a 0.83 fantasy point credit guy on DK. But again, it's just, I think he's going to be forced in some minutes. And a lot of it depends upon like what else is available out there. And do we get more stuff opening up, or does some stuff actually somehow close on us? The Charlotte situation, especially if Graham doesn't play, Charlotte can be super, super interesting and really, really thin. We talked about, what do we have? What was that, Devin? Graham is in. Thank you. All right. So we assume LaMelo's got to start forever now, right? Like they're not taking LaMelo out, right? Graham's going to come off the bench. Yes.
I'm not sure. I would think so, but I'm not sure.
You can't bench LaMelo. But nobody's going to play Cat tonight on the other side of that game, and he's 9.3K on DK. He played with 31 minutes his first game back. He did say, he was kind of tired. He was out for like a month or so with COVID issues. I don't know, especially if you want to run it back, if you're that kind of guy. Generally speaking, I don't like to deal with Minnesota at all if I can avoid Minnesota, and I feel like I can mostly avoid Minnesota. Now, there is, in theory, potentially some value with Russell out, but they do have plenty of bodies, and they like to use them. They'll run out a bunch of dudes that play 20 minutes or so. It's not very useful. Any interest in Cat? Anybody in Minnesota, or are we crossing them out?
No, I'm not so interested in Cat. He did play more minutes than I expected him to in his first game back, and maybe, so I guess you should probably figure that he's going to play even a couple more than he played the last game. But I mean, you'd think that he's just trying to get into shape right now, and like he might be a little sore and whatnot. So he's not someone that I'm really interested in. His price isn't that great. He's cheaper on DK, but it's not like, if he was in like the 8Ks, then I would certainly be interested, but he's not. Rubio would be the guy that I mean, he's getting those minutes now with Russell out, and he's been producing. So he's in play on a site like Yahoo. That's why he's on my mind, because he's cheap, real cheap over there. But
I think Cat's going to take away, though, as far as his fantasy points from as well, too. Just had one game with him. But you're right. He's been getting more run, but I just think that it could be pulled out, the rug, whatever, however that saying goes. The rug gets pulled out from under you. I don't know. I just don't trust Minnesota. But I hear you. In theory, if he gets 28 minutes, he could be fine. Of course, he's another guy that can't shoot, which is sort of a problem. But he can get there in different ways.
But he can get assists
yeah,
to Cat.
And steals. Yeah. You can get steals.
Yeah.
Hey, let's look at the ownership stuff. I'm pulling up DK specifically on the lineup HQ, and that's one of the things you get. Andy means his core plays, all the good stuff here at RG. You get the show coming up after us, Crunch Time as well. If you guys get that $10 off your first month, we can go ahead and drop that again. Sure, why not? Stewart is currently projected to be owned on an 11-game slate on DraftKings. That's 71%. And I think that's correct. Like, why? I don't think I'm going to play 12 lineups tonight on DraftKings. I'm fairly certain he's in every one of them. I can't see a way around it.
Lock button.
Yeah. We have Pritchard next, which is a little thinner. Obviously, it's definitely thinner than Stewart, but still he's cheap. We're projecting him for 28 minutes currently, which might change a little bit if he doesn't draw the start. If he doesn't draw the start, maybe 27. Maybe if he doesn't draw the start, he mops up. This thing gets ugly, which it certainly can with Detroit on the other side. So we got Pritchard, then Westbrook, then Vooch, Tatum, Luka, Jaylen Brown, Jeremy Grant. Stop me if you have any bullet points. You feel strongly, yes or no, either way. You mentioned Rui Hachimura. Sadiq Bey is popping here for Detroit because only so many guys are available, and he's one of the rookies that they do like theoretically. Is he? He's not comfortable. He's not comfortable.
He's a pick. He was pretty good to start the season. He had a couple of games. I think he can score, and that's what you need tonight. They're going to need anyone who can score. So I like him. I certainly like him more than some of the other, like Conqueror, if anyone's thinking of playing him.
I don't know where you heard that from.
I'm telling you, I promise you, there's other sites where he's
I will say if the game gets ugly, he's a guy that could do things, and he is close to a fantasy point per minute on the season. But I just don't know how much. I mean, of course, I guess through foul trouble or something like that, he can get some run. But I guess maybe they only do have I think 9 buddies there on last count. OKC only has 9, potentially 8 if Roby plays. And again, Miller is like 7.5. But all the OKC guys are basically priced where they should be. So it's hard. They're all priced based upon what they've done in the last week or two in this similar situation. So despite having potentially 7.5 or 8.5 guys, I'm still not that interested. And also they're facing Denver, a game that might blow out. Again, that would benefit the dudes coming off the bench, and maybe Roby comes off the bench and mops up. This game gets ugly. It's weird, but I'm mostly off OKC. Is that the correct take?
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird seeing Diallo, who's earned the price tag, $7K right now. But I think Roby is definitely in play for sure. And Baisley is the guy that kind of looks interesting to me, just because his price, is not super inflated. Like you could make a case that he's kind of worth that anyways, without all these lack of bodies. But so he would be the guy that I would go to. I think Diallo makes for a good GPP play just because, I mean, they've been keeping these games close, and it's crazy, but they've been doing it. I love somebody on the other side of this game. So
is it Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah, you have to like Michael Porter Jr. We know the upside that this guy has, that he had in the bubble. That he was cruising the other night against Cleveland. 38 fantasy points, got no fourth quarter minutes because of the blowout. Should get a good positive matchup any way you look at it against OKC, because Dort is probably going to be on one of the guards, whether it be Will Barton or Jamal Murray. So I'll expect a good matchup with him, and he's back, right? Like, so it looks like he's not being benched for defense. And so as long as he's coming off of a good game. I expect he'll have the opportunity to play a bunch of minutes tonight and keep it rolling. And he's so talented on the offensive end and his price is just not high enough. So I like him on all sites, every single one, FanDuel, Yahoo, and DK.
Yeah, Coach Malone said, I think he said he played the best game he's ever seen from him, or like the most complete game. I can't remember what the quote was exactly, but he was praising him. And we've seen, his defense is bad, and he's been pulled before for defensive reasons. And like he's gotten the stink eye from Malone, he's got the stink eye from Jokic, but we also know the ceiling is there too. And he's like an exceptional offensive player when he gets things going. Let's bring Devin on. Devin's been compiling questions there from the chat for the last 15 minutes or so. And Devin, how are things? Any more news for the break as we were talking? Because I may have missed it. I've not checked Twitter in the last 5 minutes.
Last I saw was the Devontae Graham news, which I believe you caught. So
yes, yeah, he's going to be playing basketball this evening. But again, PJ Washington is out too, for what it's worth. Turk Tees, you're going to handle the tournament stuff, and I'll handle the cash stuff. Does that work for you?
Sure.
All right. Happy Friday, everyone.
Also, just to go on, I think they probably start Graham and Ball since PJ Washington's out and move Hayward to the 4. The more I was thinking about it,
they only have 9 guys, and that includes Nick Richards, who basically never plays. And they're playing Minnesota, who I'm told is a terrible defensive team. I wish this game wasn't at 7:00. Right. That's really annoying me. I really do. Why couldn't we shuffle these games up? Because I don't like to commit too early. And then, whatever. Devin, you have some questions for us. Nobody wants to hear my rant.
I do. Let's start with this very fun named account. Dean's Burner wants to know, what's Kirk's favorite pay-up on Yahoo, not named Westbrook?
Luka.
Luka?
And it's close. Luka and / Tatum. I'm struggling with both of those guys, which route I go with Westbrook.
Matthew asks, FanDuel tournament, Zeller, Len, or Mitch Robb?
I think Mitch Robb is sneaky tonight, but I think you got to like the Zeller. The chance for more minutes in the situation against the Wolves are just like one of the best matchups you can have against the centers.
Len is the biggest variance. Like he's a guy that can absolutely 9 or 10x, but he's also a guy who can 3x.
Yeah.
So
coming off of Mason, I'm a little stung,
Hey, Mason was not Len's fault, for the record.
No, he was not.
He's catching shrapnel.
King Moses, we got a lot of questions from him today. FanDuel tournament, favorite pivot from Westbrook, not named Lillard, Doncic, or Trey?
Not named.
Would Brown fall in there, probably?
How about LaMelo?
Tatum?
Well, I think he's talking point guard.
It doesn't say the specific position, but they are obviously all point guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then DeJounte Murray.
All right. FanDuel cash for Joe. Middleton, Zeller, or Ingles Vooch?
Oh, man. I haven't done what do we have projected? Do we have Zeller projected 30 minutes or so? 31 minutes? What's our projection for him?
Let's see. I'll refresh the page.
I like all those guys. So I don't know. I would lean up what the projections say.
28 minutes for Zeller, 29.66 projection on FanDuel.
Give me the first pairing, but I like all of them. I think all 4 of them are in my cash game pool, for sure.
All right. Don't forget to hit the like button if we get your question. Alex Santi asks, FanDuel single entry, small field, Rui or Porter?
I don't have a good read on Rui.
I like them both, man. Double them up.
Why not both?
Play them both. But if I had to pick, Porter would be my guy.
Me too. I would take Porter over Rui.
King Moses back again. FanDuel tournament, more upside, Dame or Kawhi?
Kawhi. I would be really scared to play Dame tonight he took a beating last night. After his unbelievable first quarter, he was just struggled, with the Ben Simmons lockdown treatment in the wall.
Was he hitting the ribs or something? Was he hit somewhere?
He's got some sort of abdomen problem too that they've been talking about in the media. So this is they played such a hard game last night. It's just such a letdown spot Kawhi would be, Kawhi still has Paul George out, has an unbelievable matchup against the Bulls. Bulls are 29th in opponent steals per game. It should fit his skill set perfectly.
That was a ridiculous foul, right? The Carmelo foul that ended the game. Or am I just upset? I had Simmons and Embiid, and I was close and strong on FanDuel.
I wanted Dame points too.
I needed overtime.
I was upset.
I'm just bitter,
everybody wants more Dame dollars.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mutton Chop asks on DK, would you fade or play the Diallo chalk?
I don't think he's chalky.
No.
Why is Diallo chalky?
Let's take a look.
I don't agree with that statement unless I'm wrong here.
Diallo is 11.1% projected on DK.
Is 11% chalky? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think he's a good GPP play.
Maybe on an 11-game slate, you could argue, but no, I wouldn't agree. Let's say
9 out of 10 people aren't playing him.
John wants to know thoughts on Ingram to go along with your Zion pick, Kirk.
Man, so I got to apologize for whoever I said I didn't like Ingram last Friday when we did the show, because I think he went off that night, and I felt really bad about that. I take things personally, you know. I would do one or the other, but I think they're both in play. So I wouldn't pair them both up tonight, just not on this big slate.
There's a lot of stuff, and it's hard to see them both getting their ceiling unless you're betting on like overtime.
All right, I need you both to pull out your crystal balls. Give it a good rub once over. Predict the blowout. Is it going to be?
Pull out my.
Predict the blowout. Is it going to be Denver?
Hold on a second. Can I cheat?
Yeah, why not?
I got the almanac. You know what? It only goes to the year 2000.
That
Does not
ended a
have
while
games in
back.
2021.
A little bit outdated there, Dean.
So much for that bit. Otherwise, the people would have totally bought it. Is Denver going to blow out? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the cardinal sin of the DFS player to predict a blowout.
I would lay the 11 as opposed to taking the 11 if that's what you're asking me. I would be on the Denver side.
All right.
But if it's an 11-point game with 3 minutes to go, everybody's still out there.
Alex wants to know, is there enough 7 to 8K value to stay away from the 10K plus studs on FanDuel for single entry?
I don't think so. I just feel like you're going to need a couple. I think Luka's going to put up like 65 or one of those guys is going to put up a big number. Kawhi is going to put up a big number. One of these guys is going to do it. Several might not. I feel like I would have to pay it for a couple, at least a couple.
Big names to fade.
I'm saying yes. I'm saying there's guys like Chris Middleton who could go off. Andre Drummond could have a big game, or he could bust. Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown. I think there is Julius Randle is a guy that's probably
okay. Yeah, I guess if we're calling those guys, I guess I was thinking like 6 to 7, but yeah, if we're going 7 to 8, and I misread that question. Okay, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's my bad. So yeah, I hear you.
Nice.
Well, I like all those guys.
I'm saying, I mean, this is 11 game. There's a ton of guys that could go off tonight.
Mean onto something there, Alex.
Hey, give me your Drummond take. I don't mean to cut you off, Devin. I'm just curious. We didn't talk about him, and I know he's popping in some optimals, and I mean, of course, they got walloped the other night, so that's one of the reasons why I think he put up like 11 fantasy points or something squirrely like that. But Drummond, and they're playing him alongside Allen, which doesn't seem like it would help his rebounding ability, fighting for boards with his own teammate. I don't know what to do with Drummond. Tell me what I should do with him. Sometimes I feel really good about stuff. I don't feel great about Drummond. I don't know what to do.
I feel good about the Cavs tonight, and this with the Blazers coming on a big letdown spot, and it's a tired Enes Kanter who's matching up against Drummond. And Drummond was so bad last game. You would hope that he puts it together for this game, and they play well. So I'm on Drummond tonight.
Drummond is one of those players that I have to just close my eyes if I have to play him. I can't know it. Somebody just don't tell me you're doing it. KMac wants to know single entry for FanDuel, Satoransky or Denzel Valentine.
I don't think I considered really either one of those guys tonight. Temple's probably going to draw the start once again, almost definitely. We saw last time Temple drew the start. No, he didn't draw the start. Temple, he came in the game with about a minute and a half to go. They gave it Valentine.
He was supposed to draw the start. They said it was an accident and he didn't draw the start.
Oh, really?
And,
I didn't see that.
They subbed him out with 1 minute.
Okay, I thought it was something Valentine did because then Temple started the second half. The point I'm getting at is Temple's a good defender, like a 3-and-D guy, and they're going to throw Temple on Leonard. So I think that's going to suppress the minutes of Valentine. Satoransky is kind of a bet against Kobe White, sort of. That's sort of what you're doing there. But he's going to. I don't think either are terribly necessary. Is sort of where I'm at. I don't think I'm going to get either one. What say you there, Curtis?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess Valentine, but I probably wouldn't play either one.
All right, Moneyfingers FanDuel tournament. Are you playing Malik Monk?
Is he going to score 20 points? That's what he has to do. That's all he does is score points,
The
basically.
$1,000,000
But
question.
they are
So
thin, and they're facing Minnesota.
He's very interesting to me tonight because you want him when he's like the lead dog in that second unit. And if Graham and LaMelo are both starting tonight, then that's the situation that we should have. So I think he's a really sneaky GPP play tonight.
I'm just thinking in chat, is Rodney Stuckey in play tonight? Rodney Stuckey's not in the league, right? He's been out. Am I just losing my mind? He's been out of the league for years, is he not?
Somebody's trying to fish me with some names.
Yeah, they're trying to pull a Roth on you, Devin. You're too sharp for that.
Yeah, all up here, guys. C. Dola wants to know FanDuel Cash, Monk or Clarkson?
Clarkson. Yeah,
I
think it's well. I'm curious what our projections say, but in my head, we got Monk projected for 27 minutes and 21-ish fantasy points. I'm sure Clarkson's higher than that. Stronger fantasy. We got him projected for 29 minutes and 28-ish fantasy points. So the projections very much agree that Clarkson's a better play.
All right, next one's asking best shooting guard value for DK, asks Lynchpin. If I pull it up, sorted by points per dollar, Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, Chris Middleton, and Garrison Matthews are the top 4.
Yeah, and it's always interesting when a high-priced guy like Donovan Mitchell at 8.2K is the best point per dollar play. Clarkson I like much more on FanDuel, 5.7 on DK, fine, but 4.7 on FanDuel is egregious. The Garrison Matthews one, I just don't have a good read on it. It could really blow up in your face, but he can also put up like 28 fantasy points. And then Grayson Allen is in the conversation. I know people are making fun of me for saying Grayson Allen, but we got him projected for 30 minutes and 21 fantasy points, which is not spectacular. But he's also a guy that probably mops up. If that game gets out of hand, he's probably a mopper because they don't have a bench, essentially. They don't have, enough players. Jump in here, Kirk. He's your favorite shooting guard on DK.
Chris Middleton.
Short and sweet. I like it.
I'll take Mitchell, but I like them both.
Let's see. Somebody wanted me to get you to expand on your thoughts about Conchar there, Kirk.
I got nothing to expand. It's just like he's not a guy that I want to stick in my line. I mean, this dude's a scrub. Yeah, I mean, he'll probably go off tonight, and I'll look like
we talked about him enough and put him down
buffoon.
enough.
I'll just say this: if he somehow starts, he's interesting because he has a fantasy point meta player, and he might play 20 minutes.
Just give me,
and he's
give
also
me Grace,
he's also mopping up.
Give me Grayson Allen over him all day, even though it's a little more of a little price difference. But.
It's not. Right. You know, it's funny. It's not crazy at 3K on DK.
Talking yourself into it live on air. Matthew wants to know FanDuel tournament 2 shooting guards under 6K.
The shooting guard. Well, I mean, it's going to be Clarkson, right? Like that's the obvious one. Herder's been spectacular. His price is not fully adjusted. Let's see. Healed. Brooks is okay. I mean, Ross, if those Orlando guys are out, but it seems like they're more likely to be in, right? They are facing Sacramento. It's obviously a good matchup there. Not as good as it was in the past, but still a pretty positive matchup. Who's your second favorite shooting guard? I'm assuming Clarkson's your favorite on FanDuel.
For GPPs, it's Colin Sexton. I think this Portland team, I think Cleveland's going to come out looking good tonight, and I think Sexton is going to go off. So he's a little bit more expensive. He's 6,500. Under that, Terrence Ross, I guess. And then I'm going to throw one other guy that should be very low owned, who I think could be in play for some extra minutes, although he did get 34 minutes in the last game. But if Marvin Bagley's out, it makes sense that like they'll put like Harrison Barnes at the 4 and Mr. Halliburton slide in there.
I thought you were going to say Buddy Hield, but Halliburton's interesting too. By the way, according to the chat, we need 4 more likes for 10%. Again, we got it at the 10. We don't like to like beg or stoop. 10. We don't like to stoop, but just hit the like button, man. It's not that hard.
I'll stoop.
Give us the likes, please.
We have got about 30 seconds left, so we'll end with Morningwood ask for DK tournaments, Mitchell and Pritchard or Middleton and Grayson Allen.
It's the first one.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah, I answered for you, Kirk Dees. I apologize, but I think it's the first one. Would you agree? Were you listening? I see you talking in chat.
I only heard Middleton, and that's my play of the day, so that's the side I was going to go with. But
we do thank you guys for watching. If you guys are pre-members, of course, stay tuned for Andy Means. You got Mr. Tuttle, you got Kevin Roth. They answer your questions all the way up to lock. And yeah, have at it. Enjoy that. There's probably going to be a contest. I'm assuming Roth's going to drop his Friday contest as well too. So partake in that. Thank you, Devin, for producing. Thank you, everybody, for asking questions. That makes it so much more fun, much more enjoyable. It's interactive. We like that. For Curtis, for Devin, for me, this was basketball. We're out of here. Holler.